because I was in my 5th year of school, and I wanted to go to graduate school. I had a scholarship. I was having to wash garbage trucks on the weekend at $15 a truck. I lived in a 31-foot trailer. I was married. I had a German Shepherd that when he would walk back to the bedroom, he couldn't turn around. He had to back up to get back to the front of the trailer. I'll never forget every day of my life I made peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and Kool-Aid because that's all I could afford. I remember having a little plastic bag when I'd walk into work. One day I left it in the car, and in Tallahassee, Florida, it's really hot like here, so it melted everywhere, but I'd locked my keys in the car. So back in the old days, I got a coat hanger. I was able to get my car unlocked, which really worried me. I took the lunch out, and I'll be honest with you, I locked the car back with my keys in it. So not everything is easy when you're your age. After that, the old typewriters, I couldn't type very well, but I sat in that little hot trailer, and I took an old typewriter. This was about 1975, and I punched 105 letters, trying to get some attention to the 105 Division I-A football schools that were out there. I just wanted to get a job, anything. I was begging them. I was so proud. I got 5 responses from the 105 letters. All of them said no, but I was so proud that I could walk around and say they wrote me back. So it was really cool. And then I'll never forget, I went to South Florida, Fort Pierce, Florida, and I interviewed for a head coaching job at John Carroll High School. It was a Catholic school. There was a young nun that was running the school. I needed about 6 or 8 hours to finish my graduate degree, and she asked me if I was Catholic or not, and I started to cross myself. I mean, I needed a job now. I was hungry. But I was Church of Christ from Middle of Tennessee, so it didn't work very well. And I had 2 buddies that knew nothing about football. I was going to hire as my coordinator. So the luckiest times in your life sometimes are when you don't get what you really want. Because I would have been fired at John Carroll High School in about 2 or 3 years. And when they didn't give me the job, I was crushed. So then there's a National Football Coaches Convention where you go try to find jobs. So I'm at the stage where you are right now. Some of you may have jobs, but you read, you hear how bad it is. So I can't afford a room. I drive from Tallahassee, Florida to Washington, D.C. My brother is a football coach in East Carolina, so he's got a room. So I actually sleep on the floor in his room. What I didn't realize is when I would talk to coaches and they were trying to find me to interview me, I was not listed in the hotel. So they couldn't find me. So at the end here, it's snowing in Washington, D.C. I can't get a job. I've got to quit coaching. I've got to go do something to eat. And I'm in the lobby, and somebody says, Coach Bobby Collins is looking for you. Where have you been? I said, well, I'm on my brother's floor. And it's not listed. And he said, well, he's interviewing some people, and he's leaving in 45 minutes. He's 3 miles down the road. You need to get a coat and tie on. Can you run and do that? And I said, I'll do anything. So I ran upstairs. I got my little coat and tie. I sprinted down to see Coach Collins. I knocked on his door, and as I'm waiting, the night before I had dinner with Bobby Bowden. It was the head coach at West Virginia, and there was an offensive line coach that was really trying to help me, and we were at dinner, and Bob Harbison was the offensive line coach, and he actually said, which I'm not proud of this moment, Sally told me not to tell you, but I'm here to be honest, so I'm going to tell you the truth. I sat there, and Coach Bowden said, yeah, I've got a freshman coaching job that's open. I just fired this guy that was 35, and I thought he was too young. Coach Harbison says, well, what about Matt? And I was 23. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, Coach, how old are you? I said, 28. He said, well, that's just too young. So after it was over, Coach Harbison said, if you're going to lie big, you should have said 38. So Sally told me not to tell you I lied, but I did. I was desperate at this time. And then I run down to Coach Collins' door. I knocked on the door. I walk in, so here I am. I'm drenched and wet. I got this tight little sheet suit on. I'm talking to him. He's got his bags packed. He's getting ready to walk out. And the first thing he said is, how old are you? I said, you got to be kidding. I said, I'm 23. He said, good. I'm looking for a young guy. I said, really? I had played running back. I'd never coached receivers in my life. He said, can you coach receivers? I said, sure. I'll find a way to do it. He said, well, we've got the job. If you stay in the dorm with the guys, you can make $10,000 and eat on the training table. If you live outside the training table in the dorm, you can make $13,500. What do you think? Either one. I don't care. Well, would you rather live? I'd rather have the $13,500. I need the cash. So I'm sitting there, and I'll never forget, the last thing he said is, "How fast can you be there?" And I said, "How far is it?" He meant 2 weeks. I meant I'll drive from here to there if I have to and get my stuff shipped. I mean, I'm desperate now. I need a job so desperately. So I go back home, and I'll never forget, they offer me a job as the assistant running back coach at Florida State for $8,000. And then Coach Collins calls and offers me the job for $13,000. I got in the car. I drove to Hattiesburg that day, and then just continued to work from there. But it was not easy to get my first job. So you got to be patient. That's number 3. You got to reach out for your dreams. All of your dreams are in store right now. All of your dreams are out there, and you make sure you make them high. You make them high. It's fun to try to get there. And you know what? If you miss a few of them, what the heck? You got your life. You got your life to try to get them. You're also at a great time in your life, even though I think there's so much more pressure on you than me. And as I said, I wouldn't take that lightly. You understand you're at a tough time. You got a lot of stuff going on. So make sure you talk to people about it. But the other thing you got to remember is most of you are young enough, and you don't have husbands and wives. You don't have children. A lot of you. So you're at a time where you can go and have trials and errors. Go try something. If it doesn't work, what the heck? Try something else. You can try a lot of different things at your age, and you really don't know for sure who you are or what you're best at. And what I've found is you'll probably be best at what you feel like you're best at. So that's what you'll like. That's what you'll enjoy. My mother died last February. I was sitting there talking to her, and I knew she was going to die, and I said, "Mom, I'm going to miss you. You're not going to be around for the last part of my life. What advice would you give me?" Well, my mom's tough now. So she looked at me and she says, "We know you can coach. We don't know you can do anything else good in your life." So she says, "You do what you do. So if you're a good coach, you go back and you coach till they either run you off or you can't walk in and out." And she said, "That's what you need to do." So I thought that was great advice for me. The other thing is you have to stay positive. I came to the first pep rally at Texas 14 years ago. I walked in, I'm speaking to a group of 4,000, and I'm sitting there, and we just had a good signing day, we're undefeated, and my little pitch to the fans of Texas, who some people say can be up and down, I know that's probably not true, but my pitch to them was, you need to stay really positive and try to help us. You're our support. You've got to move forward for us. But at the same time, you've got to be patient. You got to give us some time here to do it. After it was over, one of our prominent alums came up and I said, "How'd I do?" He said, "I thought the positive thing was great. You've got until the first game for their patience to wear out." So you're going to have to be patient. You're going to hit some walls. You're going to get turned down like I did. But you've also got to have a plan. You got to have a plan of what you think. Look at the jobs available. When I was a young coach, I sat down and put the 5 places I wanted to be a head coach. If they ever came up and they ever asked me, I was going to go to one of those 5 places. And the others, it cleared my mind from all the clutter of all these things. Because at your age, you may have to go just to get a job, and then you get your list and start trying to work toward the job that you want. And that you set your goals, but you reinvent yourself daily. And you reinvent yourself yearly. One of the things about our profession is we can get burned out and we can be the same too much. You got to change. I love the new coaches and the new energy we've got coming in, because they're like a sponge that's just soaking things up. But they got new ideas every day. Some of them are awful, and I don't tell them they're awful. I just sit and say, "Well, let me look at it," and then the next morning I tell them they're awful. But they've got ideas, and that's been really fun. The other thing I would tell you: always know that you've got to do what you know to be right. That's been the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. If you lie to people, quit lying. Because after you quit lying, you can remember what you told them. Because you told them the truth. If you're a liar, you always have to go back and say, "Gosh, I wonder what I told him, I wonder what I told her." Always do what you know to be right. You look at the situation, you analyze the situation, you get as much information as you can available to you, and then you make that decision and go forward, and you do not look back, and you don't have to second guess yourself, because at the time you made the decision, you made it because it was the right thing to do with the information you had available. Always be a giver instead of a taker. When you get a little bit older, me being able to give something to somebody is a lot better feeling for me than me trying to take something. Be a giver. I challenge our players every day to try to do something nice for somebody else. Give somebody something every day, and when you lay down at night, you'll feel much better. I also want you to have fun. You've got to enjoy life. At the end of my life, nobody's going to care about how many games we won or all that other stuff. It'll be how many people's lives you touched, how much you gave to others, and it'll be how much fun you had. And fun's tough. Happiness is tough because of the stuff. We got all kinds of stuff, and you control your attitude. Nobody else controls it. So what you need to do is make sure when you get up in the morning, I hear, well, this teacher ruined my day. Teacher can't run your day. You run your day. You allow the teacher to run your day. Well, this guy's a jerk. You know, we don't talk about the nice things that happen to us. We talk about the one idiot that said something stupid. We always do that. I tell the story all the time. We win the national championship. I go out to the trophy presentation the next day, and some guy comes up to me and says, well, what about next year? And I remember that morning, and I said, what about next year? Give me at least 24 hours to enjoy this before we talk about winning the next one. And in closing, I'm going to tell you a story that changed my life 2 years ago. We brought in a lieutenant colonel named Greg Gatch. Some of you might have seen it. He's a West Point graduate. Everything's great in his life. He's got a wife. He's got 2 children. He's leading 250 troops in Iraq. He's through with his day. They have a brigade of 4 different cars as they're going home. Since he's the leader, they put him in the 3rd car because they know if they know where the leader is, the enemy tries to blow up the leader. So as you're looking at it, he's sitting there and he's coming home, he's relaxed. A roadside bomb hits his truck, the 3rd of the 4th. It blows him out of his truck. And he's laying there thinking he may die because usually after there's an attack, in Iraq or Afghanistan, there's smoke everywhere, you're trying to find your gun, but then the enemy attacks while they've got you there. What he didn't realize, he was the only one that got hit. It was only his truck. There were 3 people in his truck. He's the only one that got blown out of the truck, and he was the only one injured. So they fly him back to Remstead in Germany. They check his legs. They get him back to America. He loses both legs. And he loses his legs just above his knee, or right below his knees. So all of a sudden, here's this guy in his 30s. He's got his degree. He's at West Point. He's lieutenant colonel. He's leading his group. He's on a relaxing trip, and all of a sudden, his legs are gone. So I said, how'd you feel? I'm lucky. And he said, 250 in my group. I'm in the 3rd car. There's only one guy that gets hit that day, and it's me. And I lose both legs. Yeah, I felt bad. I felt unlucky. And I said, what'd you do? And he said, I spent 2 years feeling sorry for myself. It hurt my family, it hurt my children. And then he said, I realized, and this is the quote I want to close with and let you keep for the rest of your life because it meant a lot to me. He told me, what you learn is you don't get to choose your circumstances. Everyone in this gym today would change some circumstances that we have if we get to choose them. We don't get to choose them. All of us would change something. But what we do know, it's our job to take what we've been given and turn it into a positive. And that's what you all will do with the tough situation out there right now. That's what you'll do with the problems you've got in your life because you're problem solvers. You're givers, not takers. You have a lot of pride in what you do. You've persevered through the whole college scene. You've been pressured. You've been patient. And you've been positive. And now what you will do is you'll take the circumstances, good ones and build on them, bad ones and change them, and you're going to make it. And that's what I'll leave you with today. Congratulations. I'm so honored to be here. You make sure